Today we're going to review the Fenice Gloves. Hello HEMA friends and welcome to this new video. Today we are going to give a look to these beautiful gloves which I received in October, so I had some time to test them. The Fenice Gloves are actually 5-fingered gloves which are not meant, and I want to start this by saying it, not meant to fence with the longsword. So are meant to be used with one-handed weapons, especially they have been made with the idea of saber and side sword in mind, which are two of the most practiced weapons in Italy, also talking about the tournament setting. So you have to think about these gloves in regards especially of these kind of weapons. So I have tested these gloves by fencing with my arming sword, by fencing now lately with my saber, my new saber, and they work pretty well. I also used them during a seminar a couple of weeks ago in which I used the side sword and dagger, so Bolognese side sword and dagger, and they performed pretty well. I also had sparring after the seminar in which I used them, and I received also pretty nasty blows to the hands. So for all these occasions in which I tested them, they felt pretty good, I mean, in terms of protection, but also in terms of mobility. So let's start analyzing them a little after talking about my experiences. So they look relatively bulky as the majority of 5-fingered gloves, but generally speaking, HEMA gloves in general. You can't ask for a thin glove for obvious motivations. The mobility at the very beginning is not super because they are stiff and you need to use them a little to make them comfortable. After using them for the first like 5, 6, 7 times or whatever in a relevant way, I would say, they become pretty comfortable. So they don't need a lot of time to become comfortable. You can use weapons in any kind of grip. As I mentioned, they were made with saber also in mind. So like putting the thumb over the grip of your saber is easy. Using the side sword with the index finger in the ring is very easy. By the way, if you are interested in buying these gloves, you may find the link to contact the makers in the video description and in the comment section of this video. For 2 weeks since the release of this video, you get access to 10% of discount if you mention the code FEDEFENSER while contacting them. So as they have these kind of weapons in mind, they offer protection, especially in relation to these kind of weapons. So we have a very strong protection on the back of your hand, on your knuckles, which the knuckles protection is extremely good actually. The fingers are well protected over your fingers, but also the side of your finger is protected, especially of course on the index finger. Now you have a little bit of protection. I mean, they are slightly stiff. You don't have a lot of protection, but they offer a little bit of protection also on the sides of the other fingers. And the pinky is also protected on the side. You can even see this kind of thing here, which it's probably also easy to see on camera. So you have all this kind of protection on the sides of the most easy to hit fingers. The thumb is lesser protected than the index and the pinky on the sides. So it offers a protection which is more similar to like the ring finger or the middle one. The thumb also, because it is also meant for saber, as I mentioned, offer slightly lesser protection on top of the fingers than the other ones. So in fact, I didn't add any fingertip on the 4 fingers, but I cut fingertips to fit specifically the thumb, so for the correct measure of this glove, and now it works perfectly, I would say. So the only thing that you may want to add only, of course, if you use the side sword especially, or the arming sword as me, it's adding maybe a fingertip to the thumb. Because as the thumb is meant to use the saber, the thumb is designed to offer like a better grip while using the saber. So adding too much protection on top of the thumb, it's not the best in regards of that weapon. But for the side sword, it's better to add a fingertip. That said, the protection on top of the other fingers, so if you receive a hit here, because of the way in which the fingers are designed, so the protection goes over the top of the finger a little, is pretty good actually. And so if you are gripping your sword or your saber or whatever, and you have your fingertips a little exposed here, you generally speaking have far more protections than with other 5 fingers gloves. So this is one of the aspects which I find really good of the Fenice gloves. The mobility of the glove is granted by this cuff here, so you can easily move the wrist in whatever direction you want, so you have high mobility. Very good protection also on this part here. You have this junction here, which is slightly less protected for obvious motivation, which is roughly, for me not precisely, but roughly on top of your wrist. If you receive a perfectly horizontal hit here, you have a lesser protection, but like if you do this kind of thing here, I don't feel anything, so you have a decent protection, but not as good as on the other parts. So take this in consideration, of course, but it is not a major gap anyway. And because of the cuff that you have, which is pretty large, you can fit a forearm protection which goes underneath the cuff of the glove in a very good way. The Fenice gloves are well made also because they have been made by fencers for fencers. So who designed the gloves? Actually fencers here in Italy, in Como actually. I know all of them and they are good guys, by the way. And because of this, they know the problems of getting equipment into the HEMA environment. So they designed their business in such a way to have a stock of gloves at any given time, basically. So another pros of these gloves is that if you order them, you receive them in a matter of days, basically. Talking about durability, I can't say much because of obvious motivations, but I need to test them for more time, use them for more time. But in Italy, they are kind of easy to find around nowadays, since like a year or something. Especially when I went for the side sword seminar, which I mentioned, and sparring also, which I mentioned before. I have seen a lot of these gloves. Actually, I was worried about losing my ones because of this motivation, and they were in good shape. So it's not guaranteed that they will last forever, of course, but they seem to be pretty durable anyway, as far as I know. So it's a very good product. I am pretty happy of them. So, very good people. I hope you will find this video useful in some ways. Thanks for watching as always. Remember to check my Patreon link in the description if you want to support me and the channel, of course. Thanks for watching again and see you next time.